Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today, let's take a look at the McLaren 600LT. This is also an MSO car, which is McLaren's Special Operations. Huge shout out to 704 Exotics for providing this supercar for me today. Take a look at their website. That link is down in the description. This 600 Spider is finished off in Onyx Black. Original MSRP with all the options was $260,000. Now with 30,000 miles, it's just over $190,000. This is powered by the mid-engine 3.8-liter twin-turbo V8. It's paired to a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic, and it pumps out 592 horsepower, 457 pound-feet of torque. It is rear-wheel drive, weighs in just under 3,000 pounds. It'll do 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds with a top speed of 204 miles an hour. It also has a fuel capacity of 19 gallons, and you'll expect to see 15 miles per gallon in the city and 22 out on the highway. Now, as we move on to the exterior styling, this Onyx Black is basically a matte black. So it has a great look for this car, especially with all the lines and angles. Now, for what could be a daily driver, there's parking sensors up front, which of course are very important. There's also LEDs for the lighting, and you'll notice that the bodywork has a almost McLaren design to it, going around the upper section all the way to the lower design there, where there's also lots of cutouts for all of the cooling up front, and then some nice lines that come down the hood. And then you can also open up the front storage space from the key fob. So there is a button, just hold on that for a few seconds, you will hear it release, and then you can just lift it up from there. This actually has a good bit of storage. You'll notice it's a pretty deep compartment, so you can place in some items. You can actually make this a usable supercar with the storage that you have up front. You'll notice too, just above the tires, there's also some carbon fiber functional inlets for airflow to exit. This also has gloss black wheels along with the black McLaren brake calipers there. You'll notice 600LT on the lower side skirt. There's also gloss black for the mirror caps, along with having a turn signal. There's some gloss black on the window trim. And as you can tell with the Spider, I have the top down at the moment. It's a very quick operation, which is nice to see. And there's also large inlets in the doors, along with the shape of the door too, to funnel all the airflow into those cooling ducts to provide additional cooling, of course. Now in back, there's this massive wing finished off in gloss black. It is an active wing too. There's LEDs for the lighting. You do get a backup camera, and then look at the rear diffuser, how large and aggressive that is with the rest of the shapes and the lines. You'll notice too that the exhaust actually exits at the top section there, and you really can't see much of the engine with the Spider. So that is about what we can see for today. But you'll notice too on both sides with the roof down, you have more shapes and lines for those sections behind the headrests. So as we work our way to the interior now, the door handle is actually underneath. So just push on that electronic release, and now we can open up the very cool doors for this model. Now you'll notice that the entire door panel is finished off in Alcantara. This also has Bowers & Wilkins for the audio. And then on the back section here, you'll see TNU spelled out. You can actually open up the rear cover when the top is up. So you'll notice there is a little bit of storage underneath, and you can do that operation to put in some smaller items as needed. You'll notice the entire chassis is carbon fiber, where there's 600LT, and then this particular model was spec'd with the McLaren Senna seats. This is about as close as I am going to get to drive the Senna with these seats. It's a little bit hard to get in and out of, especially with this shoulder support here. But of course, with the top down, it is much easier. Now, as we work our way to the interior, we have Alcantara for the steering wheel, more carbon fiber. It's on the paddle shifters too. And then we can grab the grab handle there and easily close the door, where you do have a small storage net on the back section. You have your window controls and then the release to exit. You'll notice on this left side, you have the e-brake. There's also your headlight adjustments and the turn signal stalk. And then on the right side, you have your wiper blades. But let's fire this up and take a listen to how this sounds. And before we get to the digital gauge cluster, let's make it a little bit quieter in here by putting the top up. So it's actually a pretty quick operation, and this is a hard top. So that will come on out, and then you have that storage in the back, of course, and you can also adjust that window in the back. So right now the window is up. You can actually lower it if you want to have the top up and you want to hear that glorious exhaust. or you can make it a little bit quieter on the inside. Now for this gauge cluster, you'll notice for the current layout, there's some info on the right side, tach and miles per hour right in the middle, along with what gear you're in, and then there's some information on the left side as well. Now, I just raised the front end of the vehicle as it does have the front end lift, and I used this stock over on the left side of the steering wheel. Cruise control is over on the right side there, and then you'll notice there's some air vents in the middle, and then the infotainment system where you have your phone, media, you have different apps you can go into. It looks like you have shortcuts too to pull up your navigation. You can get into some of these settings here for that, pull up your climates as well, so it's nice to see that you have these options along with where you'd like the air to go with the race helmet there. And then you have this control in the middle for your volume along with an OK. There's even voice commands too. Now you do have a cup holder tucked away down below with a little bit of space. There's your engine start stop button, and then you'll notice you have all these different driving modes with active behind that. So if you push on active, now you can get into your various modes for your handling along with your traction control. And it will change that gauge cluster slightly depending on the mode that you are in. So we have those, and then we have traction control here to go through as well. So handling and powertrain. There's also the manual setting to use the paddle shifters. You have launch control, engine start stop, and then this is your gear selector. Push on R for reverse, of course, where the backup camera is going to pop up in the gauge cluster. So you at least have that in a large screen. You have drive, neutral, and then park is just by putting it into drive or reverse and then just pull on the e-brake and then you're ready to go. Now you also have that rear window control along with the top operation. There's the hazards, a little bit of storage. You have more Alcantara on the armrest there. It doesn't look like there's a glove box for your passenger, but you have all of the Alcantara there. You have the rear view mirror, dome lights as well. And then here's a look at your visibility. With any mid-engine car, it's kind of what you would expect, but of course you have your side mirrors to help you out. You do also have a net in between the seats. You might be able to fit a jacket or something small like that. And then over this side, you have a pretty large window, so you can easily see over that side as well. As we set up behind the wheel now for the McLaren 600LT, I don't drive McLarens all that often, and I specifically wanted to drive this one just because of these seats. Having the Senna seats as an option for this car is pretty neat to see, and I gotta say, this is a pretty nice seat. I could see this being probably comfortable for daily driving, but especially for doing some spirited driving, this is definitely going to give you the support that you need. Only downside is getting in and out, but other than that, so far it's a pretty comfortable seat. But I'm not driving this too long to really test it out today. But with this mid-engine supercar, if you're new to the channel, I own an Audi R8, my brother has a Gallardo, so we are used to the mid-engine car world, but not a vehicle of this power and performance. It is rear-wheel drive, so keep that in mind, but we do have the engine over the back as well. And that was just a minor acceleration. This is an extremely performance-oriented supercar, and I think McLaren is a really cool vehicle with the performance that they have to offer. As far as the reliability goes for them, just to talk about that briefly, I don't have ownership experience with them, but I have seen that they do have some issues. This one has 31,500 miles on it. I'd be curious to see if any major maintenance was done to this model. But it'd be nice to see for a vehicle like this with the mileage on it, how reliable it has been over its lifetime so far. I wouldn't let that scare you. If you're buying a vehicle like this, just make sure you do your research into anything the vehicle may need. But it's certainly a vehicle that I think is a fantastic option to go with. Now this is a little bit loud. I'm not sure if you've been able to tell. I'm yelling a good bit. Let's go to second gear here. And I'm not doing anything too crazy today, but that is definitely a quick pull. It's also interesting to see that the paddle shifters have a rocker design to them. So technically you can downshift on the plus paddle by pushing it forwards and then upshift using that same paddle. So that is interesting. I find that very easy, especially if you have something in your hand, you're just driving with one hand. It makes it a lot easier, especially if you're taking some turns or things like that. And let's put this rear window down. So now we can hear that exhaust a little bit more. That sounds so good, especially since it's right there. Woo-hoo. That is a good sounding V8 engine. Wow. I will say, after putting a few more miles on it, I really like these seats. If I could put these seats in my car, this would be something I have seen. There is an R8 somewhere that has Senna seats in it. And surprisingly, from what I heard, it didn't cost that much. I think it was a few $1,000s, which is surprising. I figured that these seats would be extremely expensive to buy even aftermarket for that. But as far as this drive goes, it seems very nice. Now, with my R8, it's not something that I daily drive. I drive it as much as I can, but this car, I could see it being something that you could drive quite often. It has a similar amount of space as my car does, and so you could drive it, you could do some grocery shopping with it, you could fit in some smaller items, so it is something that you can drive regularly, and it seems to be a pretty comfortable vehicle to do that every day, every other day. It's a vehicle that can be driven quite often, and that's what I like about vehicles like this. I could have my R8 as my only vehicle. I dailied my first one and put over 10,000 miles on it in a year, which isn't a lot, but for that kind of car and for the driving that I did, that was a lot of miles at the time. And so this could be something that you could daily drive. Seems to be pretty easy to see too. I really don't have any complaints. I can see the massive arches in the back there to easily place both sides, and I can see over that rear wing, which is of course very helpful. So I'm just staying in the sport settings for right now. We're still in the manual mode, second gear, here we go. And just a small acceleration, this wants to keep going. This would be phenomenal to be able to have for a week and really test out its performance, take it to the mountains. I'm sure this handles incredibly well. When I just do this with the steering wheel, it wants to go exactly where you're pointing it. It feels like a go-kart in a sense with its steering. So this is going to handle amazing, especially with the different modes that you have to adjust that as needed. But this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for the McLaren. This is a true driver's car in my opinion, because while you have this screen here where you can go through some of the information, this is a vehicle that you just need to get behind and drive. So it's nice that we do have some of those settings to go through, including pairing your phone, but with that exhaust and how it rides, you really just want to get in this and go. This is a vehicle that, while you could daily drive, it's something that you just want to have some fun with your drive. So let's test real quick its maneuverability. And it has a pretty tight steering, but I will put it into reverse so we can see that backup camera up here. And with the dual clutch, it is something to get used to. So you have to give it an acceleration and move the vehicle for it to actually engage. So you can't really creep with this vehicle. You really need to get on it and start moving. And those shifts are quick. Very quick to go through. It sounds so good. But that is going to wrap it up for the 600LT. We don't get to review McLarens all that often, so I thought this would be a great one to showcase, especially with these seats. All of the materials are super nice, as you would expect for something of this price point and what you are getting. But you're really paying for the performance as well. And there's so many different McLarens now that you can go with, so it just depends on which one you like and the options that you want to go with. Well, once again, huge shout out to 704 Exotics for providing this for me today. Take a look at their website, give this video a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads. I'll see you all in the next video.